Hello, Ian. Well, come on over, folks. Hunt's just about to get started here. And how are you, Ian? Oh, let me see. Volume.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. There we go. Doing great. Surrounded by all this beautiful work. So, it's so Hunt. Should I give a little a quick intro to Hunt and hand it over to you?
I would love that. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes, we can. How about you? Can you hear us?
All look good. We can hear you well.
Excellent. Well, I just want to, to say to you, Hunt, what an amazing collection you put together. How productive you've been in this crazy pandemic time. I don't know how you do it. It's great to have your presence back here in the gallery. And I've just loved the way you've reinvented yourself from, taking your exquisite two-dimensional paintings and bringing them to life in the three dimensions of glass and color and form and in so many different directions too, from the blown glass bunnies to the salon bunnies on the wall, the neon, the mosaics, the glow boxes. You're amazing. I don't know how you do it.
Well, thank you.
Without further ado, too, I'm going to hand the program over to Ian McNeil in Hunt's West Coast studio. Ian is board member, board of directors, and a trustee of the Museum of Glass in Tacoma, and a lifelong supporter of the studio glass movement. So I'll hand it over to you, Ian, to take it from here.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Hunt, I bet this could be one of the most leading questions, but probably most asked question of you. And people want to know why you have always wanted to be an artist. Why is it?
Well, it struck a chord early in my life. My grandfather painted, my parents dabbled, but I grew up in a military family and we traveled all over the place. And I picked up a brush at, the earliest age I can remember. And I was just committed from that day on to being a painter and ultimately a sculptor and printmaker and installation artist as time grew. But I have never, ever varied in my complete allegiance to being a painter. And it's like paint flows in my blood. I'm not happy unless I'm painting daily. So it's not even a decision anymore. It's a life-sustaining practice. It's like meditation. It's like breathing.
It is, but in such a structured upbringing, like in a military life, to become such a creative person as you have. And it's been as you say, sort of a lifelong thing. What gives you inspiration? What drives you to be creative? And what's made you feel this way?
Spirituality, memories, inspiration from nature, 100%. I mean, I can remember my grandfather sent me cocoons of giant moths when I was a kid that he found, and they hatched in my room. And I had cecropias and luna moths and polyphemuses flying around in my bedroom after school, which left an indelible mark in my memory bank, and later discovered, after having used them as inspiring motifs forever, that also Van Gogh did it, German expressionists painted a lot of the same things. So a lot of artists are completely taken by nature. For me, it's never ending. It's part of the world of fashion, has been affected enormously, which I was very exposed to in my early years in New York, and nightlife, just all the colors, forms, and movements of bird life. I've lived with up to 200 birds at a time in my life in New York. I have an urban jungle in my studio. Anyway, nature is endlessly amazing me, never ceases to, and I don't have a day where I can't think of anything that I want to make or paint or sculpt.
it doesn't surprise me that nature is such an inspiration. Throughout your works, you see this, and it's clearly part of your lifeblood. So,
Absolutely.
although it's been part of your lifeblood, how have things changed, like what we've been all going through over the last year and a half, with New York City being brought to its knees, and the coronavirus and the pandemic causing so many problems? How has that affected you?
Well, in the beginning of the pandemic, it was really frightening. I mean, we were losing 800 people a day in New York. My help could not take the trains or public, any kind of public transportation. I was afraid to leave my studio because Uber drivers were getting the virus. No amount of protection seemed to work. I would say I was alone for a good 6 months. My most trusted employee did come in. We were very busy during all of this. I had a lot more time to paint, but art business never came to a screeching halt, although it took new forms, more internet oriented. I revisited things that I hadn't dealt with in my work for 20 years, such as the ocelots, and the glass and bronze and mosaic opportunity became a viable opportunity, working with Idlewild Studio and experiencing working on the glass and daily communication on that subject, and creating whole new bodies of works that I've never been able to explore before. So a lot of new things came into my painting, diamond dust, revisiting of earlier themes, all kinds of new backgrounds for work, such as the Totem series is directly out of the COVID isolation. And it was, that's all I had. I mean, I couldn't leave. Even my food source was terminated, and I was blessed to find another one. I was the only one in my building. It was just awful. I mean, but fortunately, I have a strong spiritual life, and meditated and wrote affirmation. All through it, I kept myself afloat and talked on the phone.
Any problem having inspiration?
Pardon? I couldn't hear
It
that.
doesn't sound like you had any problem with inspiration.
No, but I had a problem before this with doing incredibly labor intensive pieces because I didn't have time. And I was able to do a huge new series of the ocelot works, which I hadn't explored for years and years, and other things. I can't really remember all of them, but I was really, really free with endless, boundless amounts of time on my hands. And, fortunately, the sculpture popped into my life at that time as well.
Yeah. Well, Hunt, there's always two sides to every coin, right? And while the entire country, and especially New York City, was suffering with the pandemic, lots of people, and it sounds like including you, found ways to actually change and improve their lives, even through the adversity there. You had time to explore new things that you hadn't for many years.
Fortunately, I mean, I did have COVID during this period, but I was one of the blessed few that had it without symptoms. My doctor was amazed that I had all these antibodies. This was after we got through the worst of it, but there were, anyway, having been through 9/11 and this and the recent, we've been through so many things. It's just a lesson in turning inward, living in New York and most of the world. I have homes in Louisiana as well, and we've just gone through another horrific hurricane there. Fortunately, my homes are okay, but a lot of the people I know are not. So anyway, you just find your strength inside and through the work, and through, I have always found repetition next to godliness and divinity. And, I work with the same subject matters quite often. So it's seriously like repeating mantras for me to do my work.
Interesting. So, Hunt, did you find that you couldn't or did not want to leave New York City during that time? Or did you
Couldn't.
find time? Couldn't.
Couldn't.
So you really just immersed yourself into work. And even with all the protections you took, you still got COVID.
At some point, I don't even know when I had it,
Amazing.
fortunately.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Anyway, I've been vaccinated and all that since.
No, that's it. So you create this incredible body of work, and it is a huge amount of new works. And like, can you talk about some of these unique glass sculptures? I might have a little favoritism in my art background for glass art. These are beautiful, these bunnies.
Well, I went to high school in the Northwest, and it's actually the Northeast. Sorry, I went to high school in Washington State, and I was no, that is the West. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic with location. Anyway, I was aware of glass and glass making early on, and I've always admired it, and I watched other artists like Linda Bengelis dabble in it, and Jeff Koons did some impressive pieces that I saw in Holland. It's something I always wanted to explore and translate my style into a credible, three-dimensional, meaningful adaptation of what I do in paint. And with Billy and Idlewild, I was able to explore this incredible medium and work in colors. And I don't even call them colors, they're like ethereal veils being lifted of life and other dimensions.
Yeah, they're spectacular. And I think some of the
and I love them as a group. I love the grouping of this.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see the table in the gallery behind you, but the grouping of the rabbits there is just so cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, it evolved and developed over quite a period of time, and I'm just amazed by the color range and the things we've been able to do with glass.
Yeah, it really expresses it in a 3D form like no other.
Yeah, I don't remember anything like it, but I'm not, the most familiar with this world. But I'm really, really excited about the range and the possibilities for exhibitions of this work and group installations and whatnot.
Yeah, and the salon busts. I'm looking at some of them here in the studio out here on the West Coast, and it is so exciting to see them on the wall in 3D and hanging. And the photograph that we're looking at here in the presentation just doesn't do it justice. They're really spectacular.
Well, the reason for this juxtaposition is that my rabbit paintings, I call them my warm-ups, and I frame them in antique frames, and they took the salon style hanging. I was, looked at the Renwick Gallery in DC and other Victorian installations as a kid, and I love the way the 19th and 18th century stacked paintings. I think it's a wonderful way to look at work. Anyway, so when I went to when we started making the glass, we had this idea to do a glass piece that actually was put into the wall. And when I was making it, we came up with the idea of the velvet background, putting it in a framed motif, which would relate to the rest of my work. And the other idea is that this is traditionally a horrible thing of the severing of the head or body parts of a wonderful living creature, which so many castles and schlosses have been decorated with for centuries. And in America, we have the deer trophy heads, and people bring all these things back from Africa. And this is like honoring the creature in an unviolent, life proclaiming, honoring form with a completely, there's no death involved. Nothing intended of harm, and it's gorgeous and ethereal and eternal. So that's really the message here.
The unbelievable colors, both of your paintings and of these sculptures, and the softness of the glass. You may not want to hear this, but they beg to be touched. It's just that the glass looks so soft. And I love your color choices. They're just so vibrant.
Thank you. I'm pretty pleased with them myself.
Hunt, does that come from your inspiration in nature, all the different colors that are so prevalent in your work?
Well, this is kind of beyond nature. I mean, nature touches on it a bit in its rarest, most unseen places, where you shake something and a million butterflies take flight in every color in the universe and other universes. But this is immediate and present and constant, and drawing from this world and others. I mean, I think the transparencies, the clears, the opaque, it's just such a tremendous opportunity to explore color. And I don't even want to call it color. It's more like some kind of an ethereal mist or a behind the veil experience. It's not related to color as we traditionally view it on this planet in my book.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the fuming of those colors so that they stand out even more, it isn't part of nature. But I got to believe even some of your birds had to be inspiration for this, because I look at this, no two birds are the same. None of your rabbits are the same. Every one of them look like they're coming out and they're almost alive. They've been just captured in whatever
And they all have
form.
a personality.
Absolutely. It must be hard for people to choose to bring one home, because here in the gallery and up on the screen here, every one of them is so unique that it's like, how am I going to choose? Which one speaks?
They kind of choose you, like my houses do.
You gotta please expand on a little bit, because you have quite a collection of homes, both in your area and then all the way down in the south. What makes it come to your attention and bring you that desire to have that be a home?
It just happens when it happens, and it's a yes when it, and I can't believe that it happens sometimes. Right now we're in the armory that I have in Pennsylvania, which is 150,000 square feet filled with antiques and art to the max. How I did it, I can't tell you. It almost takes my breath away to look at it. It's just one of those things. It's a predestined, divine channeled, synchronistic decision, and there's no escaping it when it happens. It doesn't happen every day, thank God. I've just acquired a castle in New Hampshire that's been for quite a while. Pardon?
Now you've even moved into like bronze editions of these bunnies.
Yeah.
And this is a completely different feel than the glass itself. It's such a feeling of permanence once it gets to the point of metal like bronze.
Well, bronze has it's another medium that I really, really, really always wanted to work in, and I never had the opportunity. And now we've done it, and we're doing it, and we're about to do a 16-foot bronze for one of our projects that we're working on. It's been used traditionally by, everybody from Rodin, Donatello, Moore, Picasso, and a million other artists. It has a permanence and it has such a solid feeling to it. It lasts forever. There's no question about it. There's no fragility to, the glass can break. These don't really. I would say maybe scratch at the worst, but it just has this eternal, permanent thing, and people just gravitate towards that. I mean, we can hardly ever have enough to go around, and doing new ones, designing new forms constantly, and they're completely derived from the paintings. Again, here's one that we're planning for the horticultural garden show that's in the works, which will be
That's
16 feet.
touched on. People are going to want to rub that. The soft line of these rabbits. They're going to rub it for good luck.
Well, it has this incredible presence and feeling of permanence that, you know, we're still finding ancient metal sculptures that have been buried or lost for centuries and thousands of years. And they turn up in a pretty unscathed way. So this is the real deal. This is forever.
Yeah, it is forever. At least beyond our lifetimes. And
Anyway,
I think
so this is during the COVID period. This has all come into fruition for me and continues to evolve.
So can you tell us about some of the other things you're working on? Like this is the glow boxes, for example.
Yes, and these come out of my Totem series, which I developed during the pandemic, which is still going on. I didn't start out doing a color background, a color field first, but it seems to work extremely well. And it's, I like the night and day feeling that's achieved through this, and we love to see them as groups, huge, enormous walls of these glow boxes. I've never worked with this medium. It's a backlit with a LED technology. So there's just an additional light source. It's lit from the behind and in front, and it's can be viewed perhaps at its best at night.
Agreed.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a whole new viewing potential. It's another new form of exploration in the work. But this is what I hope a wall will look like. But I did really a lot of the drawings for these, and it was quite a it's almost in a trance while it was going on because they're quite large. Anyway, that really was a very exciting thing to see them with the color and the light coming through.
And I love how you guys have done you've created these neon bunnies as well.
Another thrill. I mean, I've never worked in neon. I've thought of it. I've wanted to. I've seen other artists working in the medium. I have a special affinity for these. They're almost like putting a hand out in front of a show. They have such a presence, and the light and color that's emitted from the neon is really remarkable. And they're very simple. I will be grouping them for this larger project, but it's something that I've never done before. You can see how related to the painting they are.
Yes.
These were not maquettes for the pieces. These paintings just happened, and the neon as well. This is a diamond dust piece, the painting.
That's the dust piece, yeah. It comes to life in the neon too.
And the other good thing about all of these sculptural things is they can be indoors and outdoors. That's been a big bane in my art making, that I never had outdoor durable pieces until now.
Yeah, here on this side, you can see some.
I love it.
Yeah, there's a great sketch of what you're looking at.
These are the totem sculptures.
Yeah.
This is something that I've played with for a number of years, and we've refined it in form and color and medium, and I'm really pleased with it, and I can't wait to see more of it placed in an outdoor installation. It's really exciting to me to see this and to have the ability to produce it.
Have you, here's the Mosaic Bunnies, this
Yes,
rabbit.
this is probably the most recent of everything I've played with. You know, Nikki Desan Fall is of course an inspiration in mosaic making. I was commissioned to do this toucan piece, God, 20 or more years ago. I think more than 25 or 30 probably, in Florida. And it's one of my only pieces I had done. And now I've just made this is about an 8-foot bunny, the pink one, and just done a 16-foot one.
I've seen that one here. It is colossal. I wish people had someone, a little scale next to that so you could see how large it is. But I saw
It's
enough.
really exciting to see these in person. I've never been able to play with a scale in this medium before. It's really, really a thrill for me.
So
And
that
we have
over 14 feet
great
high.
plans to do more. Pardon?
That rabbit's over 14 feet high.
16 feet.
Wow. Okay, the girls are pulling some questions off here from
Okay.
the, and there are going to be some silly questions and some good ones, but I'm going to start with this one. With your newest works, what series are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about the garden installation, which we'll be doing in 2024, and all of these larger scale works are being made with this project in mind. And it has been my life's dream to do large scale installations that have so many mediums involved. I mean, I love installation, and to do it outdoors is a double blessing. So I paint every day. That's what keeps me glued together.
Yeah. But with this and your inspiration from nature, this looks like it's a way for people to actually interact with your art and nature.
Absolutely. And in a natural environment that these things actually exist in. I can't tell you how often I see bunnies on lawns everywhere I go.
Do you like the idea that your inspiration and what provides you joy and your artwork, your art form provides inspiration to others?
I didn't hear the last part of your sentence.
That your works actually provide inspiration and solace to others. When you do these outdoor exhibits, when you're going to get these completed, it's going to be a place for people to find solace and peace as well, and be inspired.
I'm excited beyond belief about that. I find that happens through my painting as well, and always has. I've done performing arts centers, federal buildings. I did Playscape at the Indianapolis Museum, which 2 million children visit a year. I've done all kinds of huge public murals, and there's nothing that gives me, I gave my show from the Talbot Museum to the hospital in Roanoke, Virginia. My greatest thrill is to bring upliftment to others. And I think the sculpture is going to hit, the bullseye on that one.
What you're doing it in all of your forms. And this leads me to this next question. Someone's asking, do you have a favorite color that you like to work with?
I am not biased. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite color, I really enjoy living with blue and working in blue enormously, but there's not a color that I hate. So.
It's clear there's not a color that you hate. I'd love to hear that it's blue. But tell me, with all the different materials and all these different forms, how do you manage this vast amount of different materials and work and scale to do this?
I breathe as deeply as I can. It can be challenging, but I can't be bored. I mean, I love to be excited about everything and dreaming I have dreams about things that I can't tell whether they're real or imagined. It's kind of pervades every drop of my consciousness.
I can feel that your inspiration is what drives you, and you don't have this massive team of people that are creating for you. You are the creative genius around all of it. So if you are that creative genius, can you tell give some advice to someone who's starting off in the art world, and if they are going to sort of follow in your footsteps that would want to be a career artist, what sort of advice might you give?
Well, I want to start out by saying I am not a Pied Piper. I don't care if people follow me. I don't even presume that they would want to. And I've been with teachers who need that. I don't need to teach. I'd rather be an inspiration to whom I may. Or, a lot of people interview me about how I keep it going. I would say the greatest gifts there's 3-word pearls of wisdom that I was given. One was Alex Katz, you're never ready to show. Philip Pearlstein said he applied for a Fulbright 16 years in a row before he got one. I got an NEA after about that amount of time. Never give up and persevere at everything. And you never know where you're going. I mean, the greatest surprises are your greatest triumphs. I mean, Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote a book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, was married to Everett Shinn, the painter. And they talked about the simplest thing you do is probably what will succeed. And I had no idea that I was going to wind up doing rabbits so often. And I happened to be the sign of the rabbit, but I didn't even know it till way into my life. And it caught on, people just seem to gravitate towards the rabbits. I mean, birds were my first and foremost love, but the rabbit really has found its following. And I like to go into other, we have so many new forms on this planet. I can't even name them all, but, I didn't think I would ever really get into sculpture heavily, but I'm so thrilled to have the opportunity to do it. I think painting is kind of old-fashioned. Is a choice, but that's what I love to do, and I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people to pick up a brush and paint, but I would tell people to follow through on everything they can, meet people everywhere and anywhere. And I had certain needs to create a level of comfortable environment in which to work. So I struggled towards that all through the beginning. I moved to New York after I graduated from college in Louisiana, and I majored in painting and art history, which I thought art history was just an incredible experience and quite a luxury. I could still study it and go to lectures, but I'm so busy with my work, I don't really have time. But anyway, opportunities present themselves, and I got to meet millions of people when I was in my 20s that are legends, and my inspiration still came from within me and what my needs were, and I stuck to my perspective, and everybody has one, hopefully. And you just follow your heart. Whatever you do that brings you joy usually succeeds in my life.
Yeah. I have one last question to ask you here. And I thought
And
this
you
one
work hard. I don't think people realize how hard you have to work. I mean, there's just no end to the days and nights.
there is
So-
no end. You have to keep keep working hard. So what role do you think that artists play in society?
I think that art provides a break from the grunge of life, the horribleness of tedium of the world that we live in, which is getting more and more scary all the time. I think that it's uplifting, it's a relief, it opens your mind, it opens doors that would not be otherwise. And I was like in a state of shock when I learned that art is no longer taught in public schools. I mean, if I hadn't had certain encouraging teachers as a kid, I don't know what would have become of me. Not that it made it easier, but it etched into my being that you could be an artist and be a viable member of the world. And now art is gaining such momentum on this planet. It's reaching so many more millions and millions of people. It's so all international. The things I see from other countries just blow my mind often. So it's bringing the world together. We have all these art fairs all over the world. We have exchanges of ideas and forms constantly hurled at us. And now we have technology. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. That is making it all so immediate that it's just incredible.
It is.
So art is just growing and growing and growing with its impact on the world in every kind of way. What more can I say? Museums are so crowded now, it's almost unpleasant to go
Yeah.
to.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And thanks for sharing some of these ideas with us. And we love seeing your works of art. And I'm glad that people are starting to get to experience it there in the gallery. And you're going to get more and more around the country, people viewing it and buying it, acquiring it.
Well, that's a page for these historic homes.
You got it. All right, thank you
so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks,
Talk to
Tom.
you soon. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for putting the show on. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye. Thank you.